Welcome to How Did You Do That, the podcast where guests share the behind the scenes of their successful B2B content marketing campaigns. The path to success is rarely as smooth or straightforward as we think, and we want to hear all about it. So this podcast is hosted by Isoline Communications, your local friendly tech B2B content marketing agency. I'm Claire, and I'm co-hosting with Bailey here.
Hello.
And our special guest today is Katie Franklin. So Katie is a global B2B marketing leader with over 20 years of experience across project management, operations administration, and event marketing, which is what we especially want to chat about today. So welcome, Katie. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Hello.
So yes, as I mentioned, really want to chat about event marketing. Know you have a lot of experience in it. What do you think is like one of the biggest misconceptions about event marketing?
I think that one of the biggest misconceptions is, to borrow a line from Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. You can't just sign up to have a booth, decorate and design a background, and think everyone will just show up and want to buy from you. You really need to kind of strategically approach every single event and maybe go in with the assumption that they're not going to come by, and you have to motivate them and get your buyers there to take action. So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Signing the contracting and picking the booth space is usually the easiest part of your event strategy.
Yeah, completely. And I'm sure you've seen some horror situations where that planning has not happened and it's been crickets and everybody's very upset.
Absolutely that happens.
Do you have an example of a time of when things kind of went a little bit awry and then how you fixed that?
Sure, absolutely. So, there have been times where even if we're talking about a big trade show, there was a time where our booth was not where they said it was going to be. So we arrived at the venue ready to set up and prepare, and our booth was not in the location that we thought it was going to be in. And so we really had to pivot. It was unfortunately in a less trafficked area, a less desirable spot. There was a change in floor plan last minute based on some structural thing, and it was unavoidable, unfortunately, but we were the ones that got the short end of the stick there. So we had to mobilize, quite literally mobilize, and we and our team out into the crowds, bringing people back from their one-on-one meetings and bringing traffic that way. So we really used our one-on-one meeting strategy to also bring folks foot traffic to the booth where we were at.
Things can go wrong even when you plan things as well as you can. I think I remember one MWC, like seeing people run out in panic because there wasn't a corkscrew and they needed a corkscrew. So they had to just run into a cafe and plead for one and then run back. So now I've always added that to my mental checklist, have a corkscrew,
You need your bag of tricks for every event, your kit, and a corkscrew is a great addition for that.
Do you have any unusual things that you bring as part of your sort of survival kit for events?
Absolutely. So one standard thing, and I don't know that it's unique, but I always get wiped out every event, is Band-Aids, because inevitably folks wear the wrong shoes and they get blisters. And speaking of MWC, miles and miles and miles logged every day at an event like MWC. So I always bring the Band-Aids, but my maybe not so common item that I always have in my event kit is double-sided tape, because the MacGyver tool, it can solve lots of things. Signage won't stay in place. Something else happens, double-sided tape to the rescue. So
nice. Yeah, I was worried at first when you're talking about Band-Aid. I was like, how many accidents happened?
Blisters.
But yeah, makes sense. We need to talk about the shoes. Yeah. No, the shoes are the big one. And I find always with MWC, my lips are so dry. Like every year I sort of forget. And every year I tell myself I've got to come with like a monster Vaseline pod or something,
Well, that actually reminds me of one of my favorite branded giveaways for events. In stateside, Las Vegas is a huge location for many large trade shows, regional trade shows, and events, field marketing events. So dry. So, whenever I do an event in Las Vegas, I always love to have chapsticks, lip balms as branded giveaways to the attendees because it is a lifesaver.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, events, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because on the one hand, some people are really bought into it and they're like, let's do more and more events. And others are like, oh, it's a bit of a drain on money and all of that kind of thing. Like, how do you like assess which events are worth attending? Like, obviously MWC is a big flagship one for a lot of people, but like, what about the others?
Yeah, so I usually start our annual planning with what are the industry events that we have to be at? MWC for, telecom and tech companies often makes the top of the list. Where are our current customers? Where do we need to be a voice in the industry and also protect our base customers? Where are our customers going to be that we need to be there with them? So, I kind of start with the pillars of these are the industry events that we have to be at, and then look at what events can drive demand. So that can look like a couple of different things. It can look like audience acquisition. How do we fill the top of our funnel with buyers that we can market to and begin to convert to customers? So those events that are going to get us that audience that's right in our sweet spot. And then look at, staying on that theme of demand, where are buyers, decision makers going that are in our buying cycle, actively in a buying cycle right now? And then so look at where can we generate demand from events. And then also round that out with what events can we be a voice of authority at? Can we speak at? Can we be thought leaders? Can we bring our content, our subject matter expertise to the audience? And, I kind of approach it as trying to balance those three things. And often there's overlap and sometimes there's not. And so, we kind of have to puzzle piece those events in that fit in with the budget as well, of course.
Mm. Do you find you have to also prep the sales team, and all the people attending before these events?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone signs up to travel usually. They're like, oh, yeah, I'll go. I'll go. It's fun. My client's going to be there. Yeah, I'll have a dinner. It'll be great. But events are a lot of work if you want to do them well and if you want to see a return on your investment. And so alignment with sales, product marketing, client relationship owners is absolutely critical. So I like to start each event in really project management. So from the kickoff call, we establish what the goal of the event is. We want to have 5 touches with one of our accounts that we're trying to get into. We want to have one on one meetings with 10 new people. We want to add 3 new deals to the pipeline. Whatever those event goals are, we start the project kickoff call right with that. This is why we're doing this, and this is what we need to get out of it. And everyone here is responsible for that. And so that alignment has to start right at the beginning of the project planning period. It can't just be, hey, let me debrief you 5 minutes before the show opens.
You worked with such a big global team organizing and strategizing that, and also across quite a wide range of industries as well. What would you say the biggest lesson that you came away with from that?
Well, actually, I think the biggest lesson is how critical that cross-functional collaboration is. Because if everyone is not going into the event with the same mindset, understanding what their goal is and how their individual performance is going to be measured, then you're not going to be successful. Knowing the game plan, everyone knowing their job, and then being able to execute against that, I think is the way.
Do you have an example of a really great event success when things kind of all lined up perfectly?
Absolutely. So, I mean, when the stars align, that is magic for sure. A couple of years ago, we did a big CX industry event, Customer Contact Week, and we had product demos, we had dinner, client dinners, we had prospect dinners, we had a speaker, we had a very large booth. So there was a lot of moving pieces. We had about 20 different people attending that had different roles, and we started planning. We often don't get the runway that we need. Everyone says, like, you need 6 to 9 months to really truly plan an event. The reality is you're go, go, go on the hamster wheel, and you don't often get that. But in this case, we really did. About 8 months out, we really started our planning, and everything just went very smoothly. We executed according to plan. Pipeline was amazing from the event. Just like you said, the stars aligned, everything aligned.
Mm, that's amazing. But I mean, how about when you've got a smaller budget, less time? Is it still possible to like make an impact at an event?
Sometimes doing event adjacent are the way to go. So if you're marketing and selling to the retail industry, NRF, the big show, National Retail Federation, usually it's in January, that might not be in your budget. There's tens of thousands of people. It's in New York City, which is an incredibly expensive location to sponsor an event at. So, maybe you do a adjacent to NRF. So you're not going to sponsor NRF. You're not necessarily going to buy a ticket to NRF, but the night before you might have a dinner where you mix clients and prospects, you bring in a speaker, you offer something to your audience by way of education in addition to networking. So I think that that's a good way to stretch your budget and, just do something on a smaller scale. Often those things take less resources to plan and execute as well. You don't need a team of 20 people to pull off an educational dinner
I
event.
love that. It makes it much more personal as well, and makes the persons feel really special. So
Yes, absolutely. The trick is definitely before the event, because by the end of the event, you've lost
really,
them. Everyone's tired and needs to go home and catch up.
they're like, don't want to talk to any more people. We're out. All right. I think we can move to a little round of truth or myth,
Okay.
which is where we'll just give you a statement and you tell us if you agree or disagree with it, and ideally why. That would be great. So we'll start with one simple one. Swag still matters.
I'm going to go truth. And that might be a little controversial because a lot of B2B companies say swag's a waste. But on the ground, in the trenches, people are still looking for swag. You have the swag hunters that are just coming around filling bags to take home to kids and to decorate their desk. But you will also have vice presidents, senior vice presidents that have a one on one meeting that want your notebook, comment on your swag. I like to get as creative as possible. And there's nothing better when someone comes up and says, I heard you had XYZ, or I'm coming because my friend told me you had XYZ. So I still think it's a talking point. I think people like it. I think swag's still relevant.
Love it. It's better than a business card in many ways. You'll see that when you unpack, you're like
Yes.
special. I also feel like it gamifies the experience for a lot of people, and it's just an alternative way for them to experience the event. That's
Yes, yes. I mean, you have to pick good swag. It has to be something that's, potentially consumable, so it's not, contributing to waste, something that will sit on their desk for a little while until they use it up. But I think you still got to do it.
definitely. I mean, my most favorite recent swag was a biscuit. Literally, it was
Yeah,
printed properly. It just loved it.
yeah. You don't have to find a place for it, but you enjoyed it and it was a
Yes,
moment.
I did. I did.
I came away with when Annie just came back from MWC with her big bag of swag. I got first dibs on the portable charger. I was so excited.
They're like socks in the laundry, right? They disappear. You need to replenish the portable chargers. That's an old standby that is always a winner.
All right, Bailey, do you want to pick the next one?
It's only worth attending an event if you're speaking.
Myth, myth. So I think that what drives people to go to events is connection often, most often. I think that people, we're seeing a shift back to office, certainly, but in the last few years, people are working at home, they're working remotely, and they love it overall. But they still yearn for connection and experiences, and events are an avenue for that. So I think that the networking, the education, personalized experiences, which is obviously a trend that we're seeing in the industry where you are being served up recommendations of tracks to attend, people to meet. I think that is all super valuable, and not only if you're a speaker or a thought leader.
I love that. Yeah. And I think as well with like AI being everywhere and not being sure sometimes if avatars are real or not and all of that side of things, it just feels so special now to see people in the flesh, just in terms of trust. Because as far as I know, AI can't get in the way of a real person just yet.
There is no replacement for that handshake and one-on-one conversation. Not yet anyways.
Definitely. So yeah, just one last one, which is sort of related. Virtual events are just as effective as in person now.
I'm going to go myth on this. I think virtual events absolutely have a place in your event strategy and your overall portfolio of activities. But I don't think they're a one-to-one replacement.
Agreed. They're a great one to do on your lunch break and all of that, but you don't have that networking side of things and that real impact, but
No.
still can be very useful. Still very,
Yes. A tool in the toolkit, but I think it's one of and not the only.
yeah, no substitute for the real deal.
Yes.
Okay, that's amazing. Well, I think we've had a very good chat all around the whole topic.
Absolutely. It's been fun.
I loved to chat about this, loved having you with us, Katie. So where can people find you? Where's the best place to connect with you?
I think LinkedIn is the place that I'm hanging out most often online. And it's Katie Franklin PMP is where I am on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, everybody should send their connection requests and check you out.
Thanks so much.
And yeah, thank you, everyone. And that's it for today.
All right. Have a great one. Thank you all. Take care.